Hey everyone. See, if you're not following me on TikTok or Twitch or Twitter, you just missed a little something behind the scenes. Don't rush me. Don't rush me. I'm not here just, sipping on water. I'm working. I'm making sure that you guys are entertained. I'm making sure everything is ready to go. All right? I'm making sure the lights are still working. I'm making sure that the lights will stay on. Okay? Happy Monday. And yes, before anyone gets in here, and mods, please correct anyone that gets in the live chat and says, Kempire, there's a Sean Diddy story. I know. I can only do one thing at a time. I am only one person. Look. I am ready for a Monday. I am ready for a Monday. Buckle up. Okay. Anyways, guys, sorry. Oh, hey, y'all. What's going on? Happy Monday. I can't believe it's Monday. It doesn't feel like Monday. I don't know. Maybe it does feel like Monday for a lot of you guys. But, when you work all the time, it doesn't feel like Monday. Anyways, guys, be sure to let me know where you're watching from. This is our weekly recap of the Real Housewives of Potomac. And if you're part of the replay crew, don't forget to let us know where you're watching from as well. And don't forget to let us know how you would rate this week's episode of the Real Housewives of Potomac. How would you guys rate it from 1 to 10? I think this week's episode was far better than last week's episode. I have a lot to say. I have a lot of notes. And Stacy, girl, we want better for you. Stacy, we want better for you. And please understand that what we're about to say comes from a place of love, okay? This is not a place of shade. Okay, maybe a little bit. But it comes from... oh, I can't even get it out straight. This comes from a place of love. No, it really does. It really does. But Stacy, girl, buckle up. Buckle up. Destiny, watching from Manchester, England. Are you coming to the London show on December 8th? Yes, I'll be in London December 8th for a lot of stuff. But that one night, we have the Kempire After Dark live experience for the first international show. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, more information is available in the description. But if you're in the United States, we will be in Los Angeles on November 20th. You literally have less than a month. Get your tickets. What are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? All right. Anyways, more information on all of that is available in the description. Let's get into our recap of the Real Housewives of Potomac.
Here we go now.
One night only, Oh, sorry. Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. We are recapping the Real Housewives of Potomac, and yes, we know there is some stories that I need to cover, and I will cover them after this live, okay? After this live, so stay tuned for that. We did give you a couple of news stories over the last week, so make sure you're up to date before we get you up to date on what's going on with the Diddy of it all. Stay tuned. Anyways, but this is a nice, much needed break from the Diddy of it all and the darkness of the celebrity world. When we talk about the darkness of the Real Housewives of Potomac, it's not that dark. I have to say, this season is definitely lighter than it's been, right? Don't you think? It's definitely, and some might say it's been a little boring. It's only episode 3. It's only episode 3. It's definitely far better than Real Housewives of New York. Just saying. But okay, where do I even begin? Should we begin with Karen's DUI? Free Karen. Look. I've changed my tune. Free Karen. Come on. Boo. Boo. Free Karen. Come on. Boo. Oh, Karen. Let me up-to-date you guys on this whole Karen situation. Because we did a live last week talking about Karen and her legal defense. So she wanted this case dismissed. She says that they did not read her Miranda rights. She said a lot of stuff. Let me just update you. Shout out to our friends over at the WBLS website and radio station, of course. Karen's DUI case will not be dismissed. According to reports, the Real Housewives of Potomac Stars, the legal team, filed a motion to dismiss her case. In March, WBLS reported that Uyghur was arrested and charged with the DUI. However, the motion was filed in July. In the motion, her legal team claimed that the arresting officer received their evidence through an unlawful search and seizure. The paperwork also asked if the court could, quote, suppress the statements and evidence because she was never read her Miranda rights. Okay, we talked about this. If you missed it, go check out that video at length. A judge, though, denied the motion 2 weeks after it was filed. The court argued that Uyghur was quote, not required to have her Miranda rights read to her because it was a roadside investigation, and cited other Supreme Court cases. The judge added, Karen Uyghur's statements were not obtained as a result of a custodial interrogation because some of her statements were made while emergency medical statements personnel were treating the defendant for potential injuries. The defendant's statements made during this time were free and voluntary and were stated out loud while in the presence of police officers. The judge continued, additionally, statements made after the defendant was examined by EMS personnel were not obtained as a result of a custodial interrogation because the defendant's subsequent statements were made while the defendant was temporarily detained pursuant to a traffic stop. The defendant's statement should not be suppressed because that was one of the requests that Karen's legal team wanted. They wanted evidence suppressed. And the defendant's motion to suppress should be denied. According to court documents at the time of Karen's arrest, officers found 2 beers in her car and that the airbags had deployed. This is for the Karen defenders. And look, we love Karen, but when Karen's wrong, we're going to call her out when she's wrong. So let me read that again to you. According to court documents at the time of Uygur's arrest, officers found 2 beers in her car and that the airbags had deployed. This is a quote. Officers additionally observed the driver of the vehicle, the defendant, unsteady on her feet, swaying, stumbling, and slurring her speech. As you know, Karen has gone on the defensive in her original statement saying, she was talking with a friend at dinner about the losing of her parents. This season, she's been talking about her marriage troubles. This episode alone at the end, she's talking about, I've been dealing with a lot, didn't realize it, and then it just hit. Let me read this again to you. Officers additionally observed the driver of the vehicle, Karen Uyghur, the defendant, unsteady on her feet, swaying, stumbling, and slurring her speech. Look, in all fairness, could have been medication, could have been something else. But again, you shouldn't be driving. Furthermore, the initial caller spoke to officers on the scene and indicated that prior to the police arrival, the defendant appeared confused and that the caller smelled alcohol when interacting with the defendant. Just wanted to give you an update. So Karen's request from back in July to have this case dismissed and evidence suppressed was officially denied 2 weeks later. But I wanted to give you a follow-up since we're talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac, just so that you know. It's been denied. So this goes to court in December. I mean, look, they might use this against her. The fact that she's not showing any sort of ownership or accountability when she goes to court. Do you think she's gonna? Do you think? I don't know how this works, but we're gonna continue to follow this story. We're gonna continue to follow this story. But as Mia said this week, free Karen. No, not free Karen. Free Karen, no. Karen needs to show some accountability. All right. Look, Simone says, who would dismiss a case with all that evidence? M.O. says, was she at a bar? We don't know where she was. She says she was out to dinner with a friend. Maybe there was alcoholic beverages. We don't know. I don't know if a breathalyzer was done. In all the reports that I've seen, I don't know if a breathalyzer was done. I don't know if blood work was done. I don't know if there's body cam. I mean, there is body cam footage, but I don't know if we will have access to that body cam footage because I'm sure that would probably be pretty damning to Karen if that ever comes out. And no, we have not seen a mugshot either. Okay. All right. Let's get into this episode. I just wanted to give you an update on Karen Huger because this episode really wasn't about Karen, even though Karen was in there. It was mostly about some other stuff. Mostly about Stacy, really, when you think about it. Okay? All right. Oh, wait. Is this Sweden? If I got the flag wrong, I am so wrong. Diane says, watching from, I think this is Sweden's flag. Is this Sweden's flag? I think so. You guys or Finland. Let me know in the chat. Either way, are you coming to the London show? Look, are you coming to the London show? That is December 8th. More information on our London show and Los Angeles show will be available in the description. For those that are watching on TikTok, head on over to my Instagram. You can also get information there. Okay? All right. Let's move on. Shout out to our friends over at Factor Meals. Yes, today's live show is sponsored by our friends over at Factor Meals because on a day like a Monday when I already know I have a lot going on, this makes life so much easier that I don't have to think about dinner. Dinner can be ready in 2 minutes. Perfect, okay? So a sweater weather pairs perfectly with savory fall foods, but with your busy schedule, sometimes it's hard to eat the way that you'd like. That's where Factor comes in. Their chefs do the shopping and the chopping to bring you fresh, never frozen, fully cooked meals right to your doorstep. All you have to do is heat and eat. All right? All of their meals are dietitian approved, so you know that you're getting the nutrition you need along with the fall flavors you crave. And most importantly, they have something for everyone. Everything from gourmet plus, keto, calorie smart to vegan and veggie. Head on over to factormeals.com/Kempire50 and use code Kempire50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code Kempire50 at factormeals.com/Kempire50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. More information on Factor Meals will be available in the description. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring today's Real Housewives of Potomac recap. All right, let me see. Oh, Miss Ginger says, my Factor delivery just came. Love it. I hope you used our code. All right. Did you guys let me know what flag that was? It's Denmark's flag. Thank you so much. I know it looked familiar. I should know this because I went to Denmark and I literally have that magnet. I was like, I know it looks familiar, but I also went to Sweden while I was there in Denmark. But yeah, that's Denmark's flag. So come on over to the show in London. It's not that far. Look, it's not that far. All right. Oh, Lord. Janae says, I'm about to DM Ashley. And tell her to send those Uber cards. Ubers are expensive in New York City. You know where they're not expensive? In Portugal. But I didn't even use Uber a lot in Portugal, like once or twice. I used Bolt. It's so much cheaper. Anyways, we've digressed. All right. Ooh, Amber says, I hope to be in Denmark this winter. Excuse me. All right. Let me open my notes. Here we go. Let's start at this episode. Gizelle's event. We start off this episode where we ended last week's episode of Potomac, and that is over at Gizelle's event. Okay? And Gizelle is kicking out the ladies. And look, we agree with Gizelle that Karen did this to be shady, and I feel like it was too much because at the end of the day, Gizelle just lost her father, and if she had done the reverse to Karen, we all would be slamming Gizelle. So in this particular point, I'm riding with Gizelle. However, Gizelle, this whole housewives trope of kicking these women out of your event, it's tired. It's so pre-produced. And they at least came to your event or tried to come to your event. So I just felt like, okay, I'm tired of these housewives kicking each other out of their events, calling security. First of all, this is a charity event celebrating your father, raising money for your father. So causing this drama at your event just seems unnecessary. Very much like what Kenya did at her event that we haven't seen yet on Real Housewives of Potomac. Okay? But I get why she would be upset with everyone, including Karen and the other ladies. Like, you chose to go to her event, even though you were first invited to my event. However, I'm tired of the whole housewife security, remove these people. And what was Ashley doing? Jassy she was not feeling Ashley. She was like, well, it's 8:03. You told us 8 o'clock and we're here. And Ashley's like, oh, And then Ashley being messy and her cohorts. Who were those people running with Ashley? I recognize one of the ladies, one of Ashley's messy friends, running behind Ashley to go get a fun. Like, I get it. You wanted to have a housewives moment, Ashley, but you just kicked these women out of a charity event. You embarrassed them on camera. And now you want to ask them for a donation. And then you have all these hanger-ons that want to be on camera. Wait, would y'all move somewhere running with Ashley to go get a donation? Like, nobody asked all of y'all to come join Ashley at the van. At the Sprinter, sorry, not the van, the Sprinter. Yes, Jassy had a Sprinter for the ladies, okay, and her own driver. So Jassy's like, you told us to be here at a certain time, and we were there, and now you're kicking us out. Stacy's like, I have never been more insulted in my life. I really do like Stacy. I believe Stacy is who Stacy is and how she's showing up on the show. That's why she was hired for QVC. This is who she is. Okay? I see some of your comments in the live chat, and I'm going to leave y'all alone. But the people that were behind Ashley trying to have a TV moment, all of them were thirsty for some camera time. We already know Ashley's thirsty for some camera time, running after these ladies to ask them to donate. And I'm sure they would have donated. And I could understand maybe if they showed up at 8:30, okay, we told you to be here by 8. They were there by 8. It took them 3 minutes to walk into the place, okay? So Jassy, first of all, Jassy wasn't feeling Ashley from before she even left the venue. But when she was in the van, she's closing the van. She's closing the van, and it almost closes in on Ashley. And she's just like, oh my gosh. I'm like a real Karen. Oh my God, I broke my arm. No, she didn't say that. But still. But Ashley, you wanted to come here and have a moment. Here's your moment. Close. That's clearly what Ashley was doing. Ashley is messy. And honestly, and I'm not one to be like, okay, fire this housewife. I could have did without Ashley this season. And I had to ask myself, would you rather regular Robin, damn, I've been saying it a lot. It's only the 3rd episode. Regular Robin or Ashley? Honestly, look, if Robin was just a friend of, and we didn't have to deal with her lies of a relationship with Juan Dixon, I would have preferred Robin Dixon. You know why? Because at least I know she's really friends with Gizelle. And although I do think she's faking her own, that marriage storyline, I feel like everything else with Robin was pretty who she is. Ashley always feels like something's inauthentic, not real. We don't have the 100% story. Look, Amy says, Robin's greater than Ashley. Look, were we wrong? No, we weren't wrong. But maybe they could have brought regular Robin back as a friend of and get rid of Ashley. We have to remember, too, when we're watching this show, sometimes some of the new housewives don't know that they're full-time. Sometimes the housewives that are there don't know that they're going to be full-time. Sometimes it's figured out during the season, depending on what your storyline is going to be. So I kind of feel like Jassy didn't know at this particular point if she was going to be full-time or if she was going to be a friend of. The same with Jacqueline. You saw how she brought her on again, off again. I thought they were married. Were they not married? I don't know, whatever it was. 14 years of on again, off again. So I'm thinking Jacqueline was probably auditioning to be full-time. And it never happened. But then Keiarna got full-time. Okay. So we have that little bit of a mess at the end, and Ashley and her messy, what do you want to call the three stooges that were right behind her. I'm like, why are y'all here? All looking into the van, trying to have a moment, trying to get look, and do all of this. For those that are on the podcast, this way you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Doing all of this, looking at Jassy. I'm like, what you look, sir, madam, get out of Jassy's face, her gorgeous face, with all that stupidity. Why would they donate to your charity when you just kicked them out of the charity? She luckily it was only the door that slammed on her. Some other people would have threw a shoe. No, I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying some people are different. Some people are different. You lucky Keiarna wasn't there. You probably would have got a 1, 2. Especially because she doesn't see it for Ashley or GNA. Anyway, so the ladies the next day go to meet at Stacy's home to discuss what went down. All right? And Jassy refers to GNA as gangsters and alcohol. I mean, I still don't know what exactly this new rebrand is anyway. They still don't have anything on their website. I don't know what the rebrand is. But regardless, I feel like, everyone should have showed up for Gizelle because she was raising funds for her father in his memory. Okay? Anyways, so Jassy and Ashley they continue to have a conversation about what happened in regards to the door slamming on her, and she's just like, whatever. As soon as Ashley walked in, Jassy rolled her eyes. Did you guys notice that? If you're not paying attention, you miss these little moments. Jassy's eyes went like this when she heard Ashley's voice. And mind you, Jassy, I'm sure plenty of other people watching at home did exactly the same thing. Jinx, look, Jinx, like, oh God, Ashley's in this scene. Okay, so they're going back and forth in regards to what went down at the party, okay? Karen comes in and she hears the argument. She's like, what the F is going on? Why is she acting like everyone's mama? You can't act like everyone's mama right now, Karen, when you catching DUIs and 9 citations. Oh yeah, week 3. Every time that Karen doesn't show accountability, we're going to be bringing it up. Every single time. So Karen walks in like Mother Dearest. What in the F is going on? We're arguing. That's what's going on. That is what's going on. So she then talks about the birthday party. Ashley confronts Karen about the shady group text that she sent on the day of Gizelle's event. And Karen's just like, that wasn't a birthday party. It was an inquisition. Honest, look, I feel like this group can go too far and be messy and try to hold people accountable on this reality show. However, I don't feel like that group was really coming after Karen like that. I don't feel like they were dragging her. I feel like they were just asking questions because that's a part of the job. So I don't feel like it wasn't inquisition. She's doing the most. She's doing the most. Okay. Has Gizelle has GNA created those sweatshirts yet? I'm ready to buy. Come on now. Look, I'm ready to buy them. And then we're going to give it to a really great organization, right? Right? So Karen says that, okay, so she then brings up some of Michael Darby's past. And I know some of you are worried for Karen that she might get sued by Michael Darby. No, Michael Darby learned his lesson when he sued Candace. You signed a waiver to be on this show, so they can bring up all the stuff from the past that you've done on this show. So Karen brings up when he was pinching asses and whatnot. And then they flash back to when and it actually, the flashback didn't help you, Karen. She's like, oh, we can't talk about this. We can't talk about that. Now you can't talk about it for legal reasons. Then she says, this is a case where I could have died. And Ashley's like, yeah, and someone else could have died as well. I mean, she's not wrong. That's the thing. When you're team whatever, sometimes you can't see because you don't like Ashley that what Ashley's saying is not wrong. Someone else could have died. And then, of course, Karen brings up Ashley's Uber gift cards. Okay, was that messy? It was. But Then Karen decides, like, oh, well, you need to worry. You should have taken that money for those Uber gift cards and took care of those human being of an acorn on your feet. Ashley then points to her bunions and she's like, I got one on this foot too. And then she puts her dirty shoe on top of Stacy's clean, beautiful counter. Who raised you? Gross. But they couldn't even, look, they are so self-producing now. They're just so self-aware. They want to have these theatrical moments to the point where Ashley's just laughing at one particular, she's like, I don't want to laugh. Okay. Ashley says that Karen needs to worry about if she's going to have jail time. That's where I was sort of like, okay, this is where it would have felt like an inquisition. We could be sensitive to that point. However, again, Karen hasn't shown any accountability, so I can't even defend her here. Okay? So, then they talk about Gizelle apologizing, which I thought was interesting because I don't feel like Gizelle needed to apologize, not Karen. Because Karen was the one talking about, will Gizelle apologize? And Ashley says clearly she should. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because you were the one defending Gizelle and throwing everyone out with her. Just saying. All right, fine. Thank you guys so much for the super chat. AC says, I don't watch the show. I'm just here to show some love to Kempire. Thank you, AC. I appreciate the love. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's easy and it's free. Easy and free way. And don't forget, you can hear an audio version of our live recaps and special episodes on the Kempire podcast. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating because rating podcasts are so, so important. So make sure that you're rating and that you're subscribed to the Kempire podcast. Okay? All right. And we have some special things that we're going to start doing for the podcast exclusively. So you might want to be subscribed. Okay? Oh, Miss Parker says, I'm escorting you out of my house if you put your feet on anything at my home. Dee Dee says, Ashley plays both sides, always. And clearly she was doing that in that moment because I was so surprised when she says, clearly Gizelle needs to apologize. Because I don't even think Gizelle should apologize to the ladies that she kicked out, but definitely not to Karen. Definitely not to Karen. All right, Wendy at home with her mama. Look. I love any scenes with Wendy and her mom. All scenes at Wendy at home should be with her mom. Very much like Candy, Wendy's mom is TV gold. Messy, and I know a lot of people don't like her. But she makes good TV. She's funny. She's a mess. Well, I did not expect this scene. Yes, if you saw the previews that came out in the last week, then you knew. But I did not expect for this season that Dr. Wendy Asefo is making amends with Eddie's family. Some people may have forgotten that they didn't talk to Eddie's family, which is sad because all those kids are growing up. We saw these beautiful children. Dr. Wendy Asefo has a beautiful family. From Eddie to the kids, everyone's just beautiful. Beautiful teeth, beautiful skin, wonderful hair. Anyways, so they're at home and mom is cooking for them, okay? Wendy's mom is cooking for them. Here's the thing. So we find out that Eddie's father called Wendy to wish her happy Mother's Day. And this is where Wendy updates us on what went down, why there was a falling out between the families. And I really believe the falling out had to do with Wendy's mom. We've seen Wendy's mom. I think all the evidence proves that she is the problem. All right? She is the problem for all of that. Anyways. But, okay, so a couple of things. First of all, they pulled out the big codfish. When I was in Portugal, they had that in some of the stores. I was like, huge, like you would smell it too. Huge things of codfish. I mean, it's Portugal, so of course. But she pulled that out, and I was like, okay, Mama's cooking. The food looked good, though. The food did look good from what we could see. Anyways. So Wendy says that she wants to invite Eddie's family to her 40th birthday party. Wendy's mother turns around and says, please do. No, wait. Because especially if you have a Nigerian mother, a West Indian mother, a black mother, when she said, please do, there was a little bit of shade. She's like, it's time to make amends and everyone to move forward. She said that afterwards, but she did a little emphasis on, please do. I was like, oh, okay. Then she recalls, Wendy's mom recalls, yes, Eddie's mom, I tried to hug her and she pushed me away. And I thought when she said, well, if she tries to hug me this time around, I'm going to hug her back. No, she didn't say that. She didn't say that. She did say at the time when she tried to hug Eddie's mom, she says, God will judge you. Oh, wait. Not Holy Ghost fire. Not Holy Ghost fire. Is that what she said to her? Holy Ghost fire? No, she said, God will judge you. Oh. Wendy's mother was the problem. And Wendy, I get it. It's your mother. So you're always going to defend her. That's you and Candy. Fine. What's Wendy's mother's sign? Can someone find out for me? I want to know. What is Wendy's mother's sign? Because I have a feeling. Look, I have a feeling. I know Wendy is a Gemini. But what is Wendy's mother's astrological sign? She'd probably be like, don't ask me my astrological sign. Holy Ghost fire to you. Okay, fine. But I enjoyed the scene. I enjoyed the scene. Ooh, Toya says, I'm going to start telling people, God will judge you. You got to say it like that, though, Toya. You can't just say, God will judge you. No, you got to stop, pause, look them in the eye. God will judge you. Holy Ghost fire. Okay. We've digressed. All right, let's move on to the next scene. Keiarna with her sexy mother. Look, I'm gay. It's fine. But Keiarna looks just like her mother. And if Keiarna's going to age like her mother, lucky you, sir. So Keiarna's moved in with her man. Look, we love Keiarna. She's a businesswoman. She's beautiful. She has the best tagline this season. But homegirl, we saw that plate that you gave to that man and we said, wait. And apparently he doesn't love her eggs. Eggs are not that hard to make. There is a little bit of a science to making good eggs. But that plate looked sad. Anyways, I thought this was a cute scene. Her mom gets very sassy. Gorgeous, though. Oh, gorgeous. And, of course, she brings up the whole getting married thing. So Keiarna's like, I'm not pressed to get married. She wants to figure out this new house that they're building together and wants to get in there. Right now, there is a delay. But I was just like, you know what? I was too focused on the mom, and all the moms were bringing it in these scenes. All right? Keiarna, she says she's not thirsty for a ring, so she's not really concerned about the ring. But her mom wants to know, what does the road to marriage look like? Keiarna, is your mom married? I want to know. What's that situation? Look, we're getting to know Keiarna. So we find out that Greg, I was about to say her fiance, but maybe now they're fiancés. Jamie says, eggs are so easy to make. Girl can't cook. Oh, they're easy to make, but if you want to make them good, there is a little bit of a science to them. There's a little bit of a science to them if you want to make good eggs. You can make eggs, and then people are like, all right, these are good, but no. Kari says, are there any boiled eggs? If you watch The Traitors and you remember Phaedra, and are there any boiled eggs? Anyways, I say all that to say she can't make breakfast, but she's cute and her mom is cute. And Greg apparently is divorced, and he has 3 kids, and Keiarna's the first woman since they're divorced that he's introduced them to. They've only been together 2 years. And I know for some people, if you're a woman of a particular age, yeah, after a certain period of time, you feel like, well, this is what is expected, that we should be engaged. Look, we've had this conversation before. You guys will let me know in the live chat, in the replay crew, in the comment section. How do you feel about this? Like, what are the term limits? Do you wait a year after a certain age, to be like, okay, where are we going? Okay, in the second year, we need to be engaged. She says she's not pressed. However, they are getting a house together. I don't know. I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know how I feel in regards to that. I don't know how I feel in regards to that. But look, Keiarna says she's not pressed. All right. Speaking of pressed, Gizelle's daughters are getting their hair pressed for their prom. First of all of her daughters are gorgeous. I love these scenes with Gizelle and her daughters, because these are probably the realest, most honest scenes that we're ever going to get from Gizelle. And Cal's there doing their hair. They're looking, they're just having everyday conversation that a lot of you probably can relate to. Some of you probably literally were just going through this with Gizelle this past year in regards to your kids getting ready for prom or going to college. And we saw Gizelle go through this last year with Grace. And this year she's doing it with the twins. So the twins are getting their hair done. And Pastor Jamal, I remembered, Pastor Jamal Bryant comes in. Look, I'm not saying a pastor needs to be walking around like a pauper. However, I would not be going to a church with a pastor dressed down in Gucci down to his socks. And look, we understand as a pastor, he gets a salary. But I kind of look at you as, okay, how much are you getting paid? Why are you wearing Gucci down to your socks? Like, it tells me a lot about you as a person. And this is coming from a tourist that loves the finer things in life. But when you see me in the street, you're not going to see me Gucci down. Like, I don't wear labels like that. And everyone's different. However, this is also a pastor giving you worldly advice and godly advice. I mean, never mind the fact that this man and the way that he's cheated on his ex-wife and the streets have been talking about him for years. Putting that to the side, but when you pull that in and then you pull the labels down and it's like, how do we, I'm waiting for that story to come. Surviving past the holy whore. Damn. That's the first thing that I stood out to me. I've seen this. First of all, he is a man of a particular age, and I'm looking at, like, what are you wearing? Like, he's older than me, and I'm like, what are you wearing? But he's done some questionable things with his church and things like that too, recently, and like, oh, we're gonna, like, he's trying to get attendance up over there, okay? And Taria told, I think was it here on my podcast or on Taria's podcast? What else is going on podcast? I can't remember, but we talked about it, or maybe she told me personally. I can't remember. But she's talked about this publicly, that she used to go to his church. And I think she's talked about things with, and even when she was here recently, she alluded that Pastor Holy Whore used to party with Diddy. Okay, all right, we're gonna move on. So they talk about curfews, like parental stuff. Cute little scene. Exactly. Come on, look, Kamala. I mean, they've been friends a long time. Kamala was at his church yesterday on her birthday. Happy belated birthday, Kamala Harris. Questionable. But apparently they've been friends for years. Vote.org. Make sure that your voter registration is still valid. Early voting has started in a lot of states. Early voting starts here in New York City, October 26th. Sidebar. The exonerated 5 are suing DT for the comments he made during the most recent presidential debate. I'm just saying, and look, I'm just giving you all the facts, okay? They're suing him for saying that they pled guilty when, in fact, they didn't do that. And some of his statements about them were slanderous, so they're suing. And I hope they win. Anyways, and that's the danger about our society today. People just get up on these platforms and just say anything that's not based in fact. And literally, and say it as if it's fact, and like intentionally misleading you. I digress. Sorry, Pastor Holy Whore. Okay. So this was a cute scene. They do talk about Jamal's girlfriend. We know Jamal is now engaged to this woman that kind of favors Gizelle a little bit. But yeah, so we have this beautiful scene. Cute. Very cute. Love seeing the girls. They're talking about a curfew. One of the twins is like, my social capacity ends at around 11:30. And I said, I feel seen. And honestly, it's a lot earlier than that. But maybe when I was her age, that was my social capacity too. But technically, they're going out at like 8. So she's like 3.5 hours. Yup, me too. Look, me too. I felt seen in that moment. Love those girls. Cute scene. Giselle's just like, remember, Gizelle tried to make us believe that her and Pastor Jamal were back together at one particular point. So I guess the producers wanted to bring it up to make it seem like, oh, here he's got a girlfriend. She's like, no matter what happens, this is still the father of my 3 daughters. And that will never change. Okay. All right. Mia and Ink at their Airbnb. So they've gotten an Airbnb because they don't want to be in the same building as Gordon. And Gordon just popping up for coffee, okay? So they have this Airbnb so they have some space. And I do feel as if Mia is now trying to change the narrative, especially because Karen and Gizelle kind of alluded that, what kind of mom are you for what you've been doing? And I'm kind of looking at you now again, Mia, especially with what you've recently posted on social media. We talked about this during our Real Housewives of Orange County recap this past Friday, that you're slamming their father on social media, not in court, because that's where you could slam him and justify. You're slamming him on social media for likes and engagement, as opposed to like, well, this is what needs to happen in court. And people have already said, aren't you concerned this conversation about Jeremiah's, paternity on this show? Like, this is messy. He's going to see this one day if he doesn't see it already. You already saw him on the iPad. So they talk about that. Jacqueline comes over. Did you guys notice when Jacqueline's daughter came in, she was holding the cake and Mia tries to hug her, and the body language is telling me like, I really don't like you. Why are you trying to hug me? You never hugged me before. And look, we know Jacqueline has known Mia forever, since they were little girls. So she's known these kids for a long time. But I just got the body language was telling me something else. Probably what we feel about Mia. Get off me. Look, get off me. Ooh. Britt says Mia is definitely trying to change the narrative. I'm like, when has Jacqueline's ex stood up for him? Right? Look, right? Okay. So Jacqueline comes over with her kids, and then Jacqueline's on again, off again boyfriend. Were they ever married? I don't know now, but I do remember seeing the video, because you remember Mia's the one who shared the video of Jacqueline, throwing things at him. I think isn't this the same guy, the father of those kids? Or do I have that wrong? Well, no, because they said PP. And also because he has a large PP. That's what she said. Why are we saying this to our friends? Our friends. And we know that you guys have shared things over. First of all, apparently when Ink and Mia were dating and then they broke up, Ink tried to get with Jacqueline. This is from Jacqueline's mouth. But she's like, I didn't want to get into that. Really? Okay. All right. This was interesting because they sit down, they send the kids upstairs, and Mia talks about Gordon needing her to come help him all the time. And Patrick came to his defense. Okay? And was just like, he's this is something new for him. He's probably going through a lot. And I think a lot of people do kind of feel for Gordon because we feel like she kind of got over on him. But I also don't think that he's innocent. I feel like you both got what you gave in this situation. You left your then wife, Gordon, to be with Mia. And look, I don't remember who I was talking about this with, but even in her statement, Mia's statement, giving us the timeline, I was 19 when this happened, then I was sitting at execute tables, she meant executive, at 24 years old. I was like, the timeline is not timelining. What are you talking about? But remember, when we first Mia, she also couldn't tell us her age. Because Mia be lying. Look, Mia be lying. Mary says, call Maury already. Is Maury still on? I know Karamo's trying to be the new Maury, which, okay. Is Maury still on? Is he still doing those paternity tests? All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Stacy and TJ at the gym. All right, let's talk about Stacy and TJ at the gym. Guys, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac. The Real Housewives of Potomac. Yeah. Don't forget to let me know how you guys would rate this week's episode of Potomac from 1 to 10. But don't forget to like the video. We have, 1,400 of you on YouTube alone. And I don't know how many of you are watching on Facebook and Twitch and Twitter. What's going on, everyone? Shout out to everyone watching on Twitch and Twitter. I see you guys. Ashley was being ready. Miss Dot. Oh, Miss Dot is in Aquarius. Oh, look. Oh, I wasn't guessing that. Look, I wasn't guessing that. All right. Okay. Stacy, look. Stacy, we love you. Okay. I think you're a great addition. Stacy is very poised. Every time she's in the scene, she is put together. You could tell why they hired her at QVC. She's very put together. She has a very proper way about her. You know what I mean? Like when we first started watching Potomac, we thought that this is what the show was going to be. Okay, women very much like that. So she's a good addition because she's very proper. I love the way she speaks. But let me tell you something, Stacy. Stop talking to us in your confession. Why was she? I was like, is she looking directly at us? Look away. Look away, Stacy. Because I had to go back and look at the other confessionals. Like, yeah, they normally look at the producer. They look away from the camera. But Stacy is a trained journalist, and she's been on QVC. And I probably have the same problem if I did reality television. I'm so used to talking to a camera that she can't stop talking to a camera. I was like, I am on. Why is she looking at me directly? Look away. Look away, Stacy. It's fine. It's fine, Stacy. I get it. I'm surprised producers didn't tell you to look away either. All right. So TJ. So we knew about TJ already because Stacy told us about TJ to Ashley. Okay. So he comes in, she goes for a hug. It's awkward. It's an awkward hug. And he's like, you're making it awkward. No, you made it awkward, sir. Just hug her. And I get why Stacy's awkward because we find out towards the end of the scene that people in the community in DC, DMV, Potomac, knew her and her husband. So they're still, I guess she still hasn't told everybody that she is getting a divorce. So she is referring to him as her friend, and that's it. Her friend that doesn't want to sleep with her. But he goes to hug the trainer, Gerard. And then after watching the episode a second time, and I looked at Gerard, I said, oh, I get it. look, I get it. But the way he hugged up on Gerard, and then he had to get a feel of Gerard's, okay. Look, I'm all, but weird. So they do a little bit of a workout. Fine. Then she was like, why do you have to use the big balls? He's like, because black men like big balls. Again, I said to myself, what? What? I don't understand. What was that? All right. Okay. And then she was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to sleep with me? He says, K. She's like, what's K? 0. 0% he wants to sleep with her? Then Stacy says something that makes me even more suspect. She says that TJ has been intimate with other, quote, partners. He just doesn't want to have sex unless it's with his wife. I thought that was an interesting choice of words. And I know a lot of people probably felt the same way that I do looking at TJ, like it gave Walter vibes, but even Walter felt a little bit more normal than TJ. And look, this is not because TJ wants to be celibate. At least not for me. Some people might be like, yeah, you want to be celibate, whatever. No, we know plenty of people talking about their celibacy journey. I might consider the celibacy journey. No. You saw how quick that was? No, but if it's going to make me look like Lenny Kravitz or Maya, they're on a celibacy journey for years. So now I'm like, maybe. I can't say the same is happening for TJ, but he doesn't look bad. I'm just concerned. Look, I'm concerned for Stacy. So they talk about her divorce and what's going on with her divorce, and that's when I get a better understanding why Stacy is sort of downplaying this relationship. And maybe she's downplaying it because she knows she's filming a show, and she knows that there are a lot of people that don't know about her other relation, her marriage. So I think that's where she is becoming a little controlling in regards to what the audience knows. But at the same time, I feel like we know a lot, maybe too much. Like, I want better for you, Stacy, and TJ doesn't seem to be it. I don't know what TJ is doing. I don't want to assume, but the evidence in front of me, look, I don't have a dar. I don't. I swear. But as I've gotten older, I feel like my dar has gotten better, a little better. And I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. What I'm saying is I want better for you. And I don't think this man is it. Because clearly you want to sleep with this person, and I don't know what he's waiting for, and I'm not judging his journey. But he was far more affectionate with Gerard, and I don't blame him. Okay? But I'm gay. All right. Anyways, let's move on. So then we have this scene with Mia and Ink. We have another scene with Mia and Ink, which honestly I don't find them entertaining. I don't find them interesting. If anything, Gordon is far more entertaining in his scenes with Mia than with Ink. So Mia says, again, I think trying to change the narrative. She's like, the kids I think are happy because I'm happy, which is true when you think about the parental unit. Your kids are happy when the parents are happy. And then they flash back to the scene where Gizelle did apologize to Mia for kicking her out of her event. Then Mia whispers to Ink that Karen got a court date. And he's like, Karen got a court date? And she's like, yes, why are we whispering? Because you started whispering, Mia. And Ink asked her, are you guys going to go to the court to support her? And he's like, go there with a sign that says free Karen? Free Karen? Free Karen? Hell no. Look, hell no. No. Lock her up. No. Okay, maybe not lock her up. But accountability. Accountability. All right. Moving on, because I felt like there was a nothing scene, okay? Gizelle has a group lunch with all the ladies except Karen. Okay, it feels like they're producing here. But Gizelle wants to apologize to Jassy and Stacy for kicking them out. Her issue is with Karen, okay? So she apologizes. Dr. Wendy arrives. She's like, Gizelle apologized? Oh. Because I don't feel like Gizelle even apologized to Dr. Wendy Asefo. And I think she was owed an apology from Gizelle. But she didn't even apologize for that. It's very clear what the producers are trying to do this season. They're trying to change the narrative around Gizelle. It's very clear. But I'm not going to fall for it. To me, real change we will see over time. Because I feel like the real Gizelle will creep back in. Just saying. Okay. So they have this group lunch and they have the conversation about what went down. Gizelle is confused when Stacy says that, her divorce is unfortunate and she's sad about the divorce. And Giselle's like, really? She's like, when I got my divorce, I was happy. Gizelle, your situation was very different. Based on what we know of Stacy's divorce, they just grew apart. Your man, Pastor Holy Whore, cheated on you incessantly and apparently I think had a kid or two while you guys were married. And was it with someone in the congregation? Look, I can't keep up with Pastor Holy Whore and his mess. But just Your situation is very different. We understand why you were happy as hell to get out of that marriage. And I appreciate Stacey being like, no, I do think that it's unfortunate that it didn't work out. They were together for 16 years. And like I said, it doesn't look like it was cheating that caused their divorce, like yours, Gizelle. But I will say this, even though Gizelle apologized, and then of course Ashley jumps in, well, she has a friend. Look, she has a friend. I told you, I wouldn't tell Ashley what I'm having for breakfast. Never mind anything deep and personal. And Stacey is just like, I can't. Stacey was activated because she did not hold back. She's like, I'm so surprised at you, Ashley. You're being very messy. I did not ask you to bring up my friend. And then Ashley, in her confession, was like, well, if he's just your friend, he's like a friend like Vivian. No, you made it seem like it was her special friend that she could use to get over her ex. So you knew what you were doing there, Ashley. But I feel like something else happened because Stacey, who usually has a very open and friendly demeanor, or unless she was still upset about the GNA event, but Stacey's demeanor was very different at this lunch, which says to me, I feel like more happened. And I don't know when Gizelle went on the Fox 5 in DC and made those comments, which maybe it happened around the same time. But I feel like Stacey's demeanor, what we've gotten to see of Stacey in the last 3 episodes, she's usually very open and friendly and sweet. So the fact that she was so standoffish with them, I was like, wait, something happened. Unless she was still holding a grudge. But I feel like when Gizelle apologized, Stacey would have moved on. So pay attention to Stacey's energy in that scene. Again, we have to remember we're watching an edited show, and I would want to ask Stacey, like, Stacey, what else happened at that lunch? Or what happened leading up to that lunch? You seemed really upset still. Because even when Gizelle was giving her advice, she was like, you know what, as long as you're happy, the kids will be happy. And then she was like, thank you. And then she moved her hair. And I was like, this is not the Stacey that we know. And look, that we know, it's episode 3. But based on what we've seen of Stacey, she's usually very friendly and very, very open. Here, she seemed really closed off. And I was like, oh, what happened, Stacey? Tell me, please. Look, you probably don't want to tell me nothing now, right? Because what I said about TJ, it's okay. You'll be strong. I'm trying to help you, Stacey. I'm that type of friend. I'm going to tell you. But I'm glad that Stacey told Ashley off in that moment, but in her way. Like, she didn't get gutta. She didn't do any of that. She was just sort of like, I've invited you into my home. She's very proper. I like this about her, but she's proper, but she's not afraid to get activated. And Ashley needed it. Because I told you I wouldn't tell Ashley what I had for breakfast, never mind my relationship situation. And I think we have to remember, we don't know the timeline of everything, because I know some people will be like, well, but she just filmed with TJ on the show, and she was trying to ask him all these romantic questions. We don't know when that was filmed, y'all. We don't know. That could have been filmed later in the season, and they're just throwing it in now to kind of give a full story. We don't know. I'm not saying that's what happened, but we don't know. And it looks as if Stacey, and she says this to Ashley, I'm thinking about my daughter's mental health. So this is part of the reason why I'm not bringing up my friend. And I was like, oh, clock it. Look, clock it. I appreciate it, but something was off with Stacey. Something was off with Stacey. I could see it in her face, her demeanor. It was not it's not the Stacey that we know and love. Okay, before we get to the last thing, because the ladies are going on a trip to North Carolina, Mia's hosting this trip. When was the last? Oh, Mia hosted Miami, right? That wasn't great. That wasn't great. All right, so if you're a member of the channel, I'm going to drop the call-in link for you guys before I forget. We're going to take some quick callers, but then I got to go because y'all know I have other stories to cover. All right, but if you haven't already, live chat, we'll drop the call link for you guys as well. But we have 1,500 plus of you watching and not 500 likes. Wow. We need to get to 600 likes before I even drop the call link for the general audience. Plus, I already know the members are already hot and they have things that they want to say. All right, so members, I'm going to drop the call link for you guys in just a second. Guys, we're 5,000 subscribers away from 500,000. What should we do for 500,000? Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I have to think about that. I have so many things that I'm thinking about. Y'all know I'll be in Los Angeles on November 20th at the Bourbon Room. Go get your tickets today if you are on the West Coast. And I'm saying West Coast. This is our first and last show of 2024, but for the West Coast. So if you will be or can be in Los Angeles, go get your tickets. Let's sell out this show. This is how I want to end the year, with sold out shows. We started off the year with sold out shows. We're going to end the year with sold out shows. Okay? Go get your tickets today if you haven't for our Bourbon Room debut. Kempire After Dark live experience. So if you enjoy content like this, well, it's more explicit, it's more fun, it's more personal. There are meet and greets available as well. More details on the Los Angeles show are available in the description. London, maybe you want to take a trip to London. Maybe you live somewhere in Europe and it's an easy train ride for you. Come meet me in London. We are still working on other things as well, but we have our live show for the Kempire After Dark live experience in London on December 8th. December 8th. Go get your tickets for that show presented by our friends over at AEG. Okay. All right. We're also going to drop the call-in link for our Team Kempire members as well. All right. Shout out to everyone watching on Twitch and Twitter. We see you guys as well. Hey, Twitch and Twitter. All right. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let me say thank you. Mr. Mellon. Mr. Mellon is a mess. Says, sorry for the Jizzy loss, but I would rather go to the DUI celebration than GNA, a.k.a. grotesque and abhorrent fashion show. I won't support Bunyan and Neck. I thought you were a big fan based off that picture. No way. Your girl, Pay, thank you for the super chat. She says, I think Stacy was off because of the blog stories coming out about Gizelle knocking them out. Could be. That's the thing. We just don't know when this scene was actually filmed, but she was so standoffish, and Gizelle didn't even bat an eye. Gizelle didn't make any commentary on it because clearly Gizelle probably knows what it was, and probably producers are trying to protect Gizelle, and not just producers. The network is trying to protect Gizelle. Maybe there was something else. I don't know, but I could tell because that's how I probably would be. If I don't like you, if I don't F with you, you're going to read it all over my face. All right. Oh, Amber says Stacey is going to be a sedity menace. Oh, shout out to our King's Guards, guys. Don't forget to say hello and thank you to our King's Guards for holding us down in the live chat on multiple spaces. Johnson says, not Bunyan and Neck. Damn, Ashley. Damn. All right. So this final scene before we get to the callers, we have the ladies traveling to North Carolina. Stacy did not travel with them because she doesn't fly in planes in May in honor of her was her brother, like one of her family members. Okay. So one of the things Gizelle does mention that she is going to have a conversation with Karen about everything. Because you notice that there was no intermingling of Gizelle and Karen, which says to me production was doing that intentionally. Like they want to have this conversation with the two of them together. So we didn't really see them intermingle with each other, okay? So Gizelle says during the car together, and Gizelle, along with Jacqueline, she's like, I'm enjoying Wendy. Because they're having just a conversation, learning more about each other. Wendy didn't know that Gizelle goes to Catholic church, probably because I think her daughters went to Catholic church or something like that, like Catholic school. And she talks about that, and Giselle's like, I'm enjoying Dr. Wendy. And what I can appreciate about Dr. Wendy, she's not doing what production wants her to do. Like she will like, I won't make friends with Gizelle this season, but I'm not going to overdo it. Like we didn't just have these terrible last couple of seasons. Giselle's just like, I need a job, I need a check, I'm gonna follow what they tell me to do. She's like, I'm really enjoying Dr. Wendy Acefo. Wendy's like, we're taking baby steps. I appreciate her honesty because if she faked it, we would see right through it. And here's to the people, because I did a quick little under a minute recap, because you know I do that on TikTok, right? TikTok and on Instagram. and here on Shorts on YouTube. I said some of y'all were saying, why can't Dr. Wendy Acefo and Gizelle get along? I'm not saying that they can't get along. And I'm not saying I don't want to see them get along. I want to feel like it's real. There's been some really toxic, terrible things that have happened. And I still remember what Gizelle said in her conversation, which was like a non-conversation with Wendy. Oh, I don't want to talk about any isms. What isms? Colorism? So you're already laying out the groundwork like you don't want to see me or hear me for what you've done. And according to Dr. Wendy Acefo, there was a lot that she brought up at this lunch that they didn't share. So I'm just kind of looking at this whole situation like you're trying to force feed us a reunion and reunited and it feels so good, and it's not real. I'm okay with Dr. Wendy and Gizelle getting along and having a good time for the sake of a show. We've seen it happen before. But it feels very forced, it feels fake, and it feels as if more so on Gizelle, they're trying to make Gizelle more likable this season. Luckily for Gizelle, Karen has become very unlikable this season. Just saying. Anyways, I'm going to move on. And we have quite a few people backstage that want to call in and share your thoughts. If you're a member of the channel, we've already dropped the call-in link for you guys there. Once we get to 600 likes, I will drop the call-in link for our general audience. Guys, don't forget, you can like the video. It's easy. It's free. We won't know about it. Well, we'll know the count, but we won't know that you liked it. So shout out to how many thousands of you that are watching but not liking. I always find that weird. So for those that are watching, because shout out to the 569 of you that have liked it and the 8 of you that disliked it. For those that are watching, like you're watching, you just don't want to like the video, or you just watching for what? Like the video. And then subscribe to the Kempire podcast. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. 5 stars, nothing less. Thank you in advance. All right. Let me see. All right, so we have a couple of the ladies interacting in the cars to get to North Carolina. Then we have the scene with Karen and Mia talking about her situation. So Mia's just like, so how are you doing? And Karen's just like, well, you know I can't talk about it because it's a legal case. And then Mia's like, it's on the internet. And she was just like, well, you can read. Is that her line for everything this season? You can read. And then Karen starts coming up with all these excuses. You know, there's been a lot going on, and you just never know when that's going to hit you. Okay? Sorry, TikTok. Sweet D says, I don't see the like button. On TikTok, all you got to do is tap your screen, y'all. Tap your screen. We got 80-something of you on TikTok watching. Let's get to 20,000 likes. It's very easy. Tap, tap, tap your screen. We can actually get multiple likes from one person. Okay? Thank you, Got to Be Me, for the likes. All right. So Mia says, like, it's on the internet. She says, you can read. And then Mia's like, well, after Karen is explaining what went, not everything about what went down that night. She just talked about, like, being overwhelmed. So she was like, so were you distracted? And Karen's was like, well, I have to give Karen credit. She's like, well, I don't want to incriminate myself. Karen, the amount of evidence that they've listed that we talked about at the top of this recap. And I get it. She's fighting the case. She has every right to fight the case. I just don't know if it's going to end well for her. What are the consequences, guys? I don't know the consequences. Like I said, every state handles these so very differently. I know a lot of you have been chiming in regards to what we can expect in regards to Maryland, but she was arrested in D.C., though, right? Wasn't she in D.C. when she got pulled over for her accident? Oh, Karen. Look, oh, Karen. Oh, Karen. What a perfect name. All right, let's get to some callers, guys. Callers, please respect the timer. That way I'll be able to get to all the callers. You know, I always aim to get to every single caller. But if people run long, I'm just going to have to cut the callers. Okay? I have other things to do today. All right, I got other stories to cover. All right? All right. Shout out to our King's Guard. Shout out to our channel members. Become a member today at TheKempire.com/join. Don't forget, guys, we are still raising money for, I know I'm asking you guys for a lot, but this is for a good cause. Black Women's Health Imperative, we've raised over $3,000 last year. I think it was like $3,600 we raised last year. I would love for us to beat that goal. Shout out to all of you that have already donated. After the live, we'll be putting the link here, but you can check out any of our last couple of videos and you can donate to our fundraiser. And if you're watching on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitch or Twitter, head on over to our YouTube channel and help us raise money for Black Women's Health Imperative. We've raised so much money over the last few years for this organization because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I'll remind you, Black women are affected by breast cancer at a higher rate than any other ethnicity. And so is the death rate as well. So let's help me change that happening. All right. Shout out again to those that have already donated. We appreciate it. And what you can do is share our videos to let people know, go donate. Thank you. All right. Let's get to some callers. And again, the callers do not represent the opinions of myself, the Kempire LLC, or our sponsors, or Google or YouTube, even though they're not worried about it. And they agree to call in of their own free will, and they agree not to use profanity or derogatory statements about anything or anyone. All right. And everything that they say is alleged. Okay. And they will agree to respect the 1 minute timer. Okay. All right. So if you're a member of the channel, we dropped the call-in link for you guys, and we're almost at 700 likes. I'm going to drop the call-in link for the live chat as well. We just dropped it there. All right. Let's get to the callers. Trey is backstage. Hold on one second, Trey. Let me do this. All right. Trey, what did you want to share in regards to the Real Housewives of Potomac?
Hey, Kempire, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy that I called in. I'm getting to you right before a staff meeting. I'm a director of a nonprofit, and I have to get my gossip in. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna make this super quick. I think it's a cold day in hell for me to agree with Gizelle. Apologize for cursing. I shouldn't have done that. I think it was tacky for Karen to send a last minute invite at 6:30 in the morning, the day of an event where production was already scheduled to be there. And I know Gizelle and Karen had this back and forth and whatnot, and maybe because of last year, I lost my sister, and then a month after that, I lost my 4-month-old nephew who lived with me, who I saw bring into the world all this stuff, to where I just think it was so mean for Karen to send that invite, especially when it was an event to honor Giselle's father.
Yeah.
I have my own thoughts about Giselle's father and Gizelle, but I just think that it was just not nice.
Yeah.
And you took the ladies away, and obviously they wanted to be there to support both sides and whatnot. It was just a big PR stunt because you were not scheduled to be honored. The last thing I would say is Ashley has no home training for her to put those nasty heels on Stacy's counter. I would have told Ashley, in those bunions, you can hit the door. Have a great day, Kempire.
You too, Trey. Take care.
Bye.
Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, Trey, as well. Oh, that's horrific. That's horrific. Her sister and a 4-month-old nephew. All right, we're going to bring up Toya next. Toya, what did you want to share in regards to the Real Housewives of Potomac?
Hey, Kempire, how are you?
Oh, well, how are you today?
I'm good. Hey, everybody in the chat. Kiana's mom looked gorgeous. I was like, who is that? I didn't even realize that was her mom.
I had to rewind the tape. I was like, is that her sister?
I was like, who is this lady asking about her man? But anyway, I just love when you see older women look so great. It makes you kind of excited about age, getting older.
Yeah.
First of all, I wish Dr. Wendy was as shady as her mom. I love it. Her mom is so shady, and Dr. Wendy, I think, is way too nice. But, we have moved on this season. Gizelle, I cannot believe it that she apologized. What is going on? I don't know who HR had a conversation with her, what they said, but honey, we are seeing a different person. I clocked I clocked Stacy's anger, and I think something happened and they edited it out.
Yes.
Because Stacy was mad, and she was trying to keep her cool because she's a TV person and she knows. But why was she surprised at Ashley? Ashley has been that person. Girl, you should be talking to Wendy or Karen, not Ashley. Bye, Kempire.
Thank you, Toya. Take care. And that's why I tell you guys, we're watching an edited show. I feel like more happened and we didn't get to see it in regards to why, because we never seen Stacy look like that. All of her facial expressions, she wasn't happy when Gizelle was trying to give her advice. She was like, thank you. And she flung back her hair. I was like, that's not the Stacy that we've gotten to know in these last 3 episodes. All right, we're going to bring up Tyler next. Hold on. Tyler, what did you want to share in regards to the Real Housewives of Potomac?
Hi, Kempire. I
Hey.
first of all, I want to send Stacy some bleach to clean off some of that dirty foot that was on her countertop. Cause no, thank you. Bunion juice on my countertop, it would have been a problem. Last but not least, I'm gonna say this: Karen was dead wrong, and I think this is what's going on with Gizelle. I do believe that the death of her father made her see things from a different perspective,
Mm,
but also I think with the absence of Candace and and Robin, she sees that maybe like girl, it's not that deep, but she needs
mm,
to understand people. The things that you did were serious. So Wendy's not going to just move on that quick. You may have thought they were light because you were just trying to be shady and make TV, but it was not. It wasn't light for her. So
yes.
I think that it's somewhat genuine. I just think it's still that same old, oh, let's just move on. No, 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 baby. It's not going to be that quick. I think that's what's going on. You don't have Candace there to yap her mouth or Robin to be there to gas her up and make her feel like she's right. That's why things are moving forward. But
Mm,
that's all.
Thank you,
Thank
Tyler, for
you.
calling in. Take care. All right. We're going to take some more callers, guys. You're just joining us. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac. We also gave you an update on Karen's legal case because, we did a separate live talking about how she was trying to have evidence suppressed. So if you missed that video, watch that one. But then you'll see at the top of this one, we talked about an update. The judge dismissed that. And apparently she's going to court in December. Oh, DMV. DMV, are you watching? Are you living in the DMV or will be in the DMV? Stay tuned this week. Got some news for you. All right. Delon's backstage. We're going to bring Delon up next. Delon, what do you want to say about Real Housewives of Potomac?
Hi, Kempire. I
Hey.
just want to say, Tyler clocked that T. I was going to say the same exact thing he said about Giselle. Um, Ashley would have been escorted right out of my house with those bunions on my table. Like, what? Have you lost your mind? But it really bothered me that she said the jail time comment about Karen. But I
Yeah.
understand. But
Yeah.
it just seemed like she just was waiting for that moment to say that. It's just like, girl, please, like, please next, because it's with Ashley, she just like celebrates other people's turmoil to deflect from her situation. So I understood where Karen was coming from with that,
Yeah.
but Karen does need to take accountability.
Yeah.
Wendy needs to be as shady as Miss Susan because my goodness gracious, I the older women's shade is so funny to me. I just love it. And it was a great episode. Stacy is growing on me a lot, and she's moving up to like number one fave this season.
Oh.
I'm a hard pick.
Okay. All right, Delon.
So
Thank you for calling
thank
in.
you. Have a good day.
You too. All right, we got a few more callers backstage, guys. Again, don't forget to keep liking up the video if you haven't already. And if you're watching on TikTok, let's get to 20,000 likes. We're very, very close. And shout out to those of you that are watching on Twitch and Twitter. We see you guys as well. And shout out to everyone watching on Facebook, too. And if you haven't followed us on Facebook, guys, you should. Kempire, TheKempire, and Kempire Daily on Facebook. Miss Bernice is backstage. We're going to bring her up next. Miss Bernice, what did you want to share in regards to Real Housewives of Potomac's latest episode?
What up, though, everyone? What up, though? Hey, um, I liked Stacy because Detroit Sad came out her when her first contorted, and I was like, yes, yes. Um, I would have yanked, I would have yanked Ashley by her hair and threw her out my house because you don't put your feet on my table. It would have took all the ancestors to calm me down, but she would have been out my house and you don't come back.
Oh,
You you do not come back. No, that is a low down, dirty dog that will put your feet up on somebody's table.
mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm outside having a flashback.
Oh.
And Karen did Charlie Brown to when Lucy always putting that football up and making him run and then snatch it away from him. That's what Karen did to Giselle with the party thing.
Hmm.
Cause it wasn't that serious, Karen. You just didn't want to go to her to her get together because you didn't want to get grilled again. Simple as that.
Okay. All right, Miss Bernice. Thank you for
And
calling
people,
in.
you, yeah, and you have the right to remain silent. It's called the Fifth Amendment, but you was too inebriated to keep quiet. That's why you wanted to get that stuff thrown out.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Miss Bernice. Bye. Oh, she brings up a valid point. She brings up a valid point. Okay. All right, Jess, we're going to bring up next. Hold on one second. And for those that are watching on TikTok, if you can't hear the calls, you can hear them on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or Twitter. You have plenty of options, TikTok. But shout out to everyone watching from behind the scenes. We appreciate it. Let's bring up Jess next. Jess, what did you want to share in regards to the Real Housewives of Potomac?
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. So, what I was thinking about was like the fact that like within Igbo culture, I saw a lot of people had questions about like why Wendy's mom may have fell out. And so one thing I know is that when the parents don't agree to the marriage and they still get married, it causes like a real dissolution where they want to separate because there's like a whole process where they have to pay a bride price, they have to pay a dowry. They have to like go through all these traditional customs. And I know because I've been through that. And it's sort of a thing where it's like with them continuing to get married, it pretty much caused a thing where it's like there was further beef. Because Wendy said their moms are friends.
Yeah, best friends.
So that's an actual relationship rather than like, oh, I don't know this person, they're cool, I'm getting to know them and all that. Like I remember like my dad, he was like, oh, his mom made a face. And like, but we were able to quickly squash everything because it could be as simple as something so little or like, oh, she's too prideful or something like that. She has too much ego. And like, and if they just happen to have like that, like, like that disagreement, then it could cause that. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, Jess.
No problem at all.
Take care. I always feel like there's something missing though in that Wendy and Eddie family story that we just never got, and that's why I always say I really do feel as if Wendy's mom was the root of the problem, but I still feel like there's so much more and it could be editing why we haven't gotten that. Even when Wendy tried to explain it in her confession, I still was like, I don't understand. Like I don't understand. All right, let me bring up Asha next. Hold on. Asha, what did you want to share in regards to the Real Housewives of Potomac?
Hi, Kempire.
Hey.
Long time no talk.
I know.
I really just came on here to shout out the Scorpios because it's almost our season.
Really?
No, but my birthday is next week. But
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. I've been trying to hang on to the Potomac because, I love to watch my franchises with people that look like me, but I am struggling this season. I don't know what it is. I love the new girls though. They're judging it up for me. I'm tired of the beef between Gizelle and Karen. I get it. However, those were grown women. Should Karen maybe not have invited them? Sure, but they did not have to go. And I think the fact that they chose to go to both events says a lot because I think if it was Gizelle who gave the last minute invitation, I don't think people would have been trying to split their time.
Very good
And
point.
so I also feel like it was very tacky, but I expect nothing less from her to send a QR code after you kick them out. Because if you need money, you should have let them in.
Ooh.
I thought that was very tacky to still ask them to donate after causing such.
Honestly, I don't even think that was Gizelle. I think that was Ashley.
And her friends, because I know they didn't hit that.
And her
15K goal.
stooges. All running behind her. Let's go get you guys look ridiculous.
A mess. If anything, I think that was the disgrace to the celebration was the scene that was caused, not that people were coming in late.
Exactly.
But that's just me. All right, happy
and me
Monday.
too, Asha. Thank you, Asha. Wait, say it again?
I said happy Monday. It's Monday, right?
Yeah, it's Monday. Okay.
Oh, I might say don't scare me.
Happy early
Okay,
birthday,
bye.
Asha. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Yeah, it's about to be Scorpio season. Shout out to all the Libras. Shout out to all. Look, I will say this though. Shout out to the Virgos. The Virgos were caressing me like a fire for during their season. Not one word from the Libras. Okay, Libras. I'm looking at y'all with the side eye. All right, Judgy Justice is backstage. A fellow Taurus. Taurus sister, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire.
Long time.
Yeah, I've been living my life, not
Oh.
living behind a screen. So I've been
Oh,
enjoying
okay.
things. So it's been great. It's been great. But now it's getting cold, so I gotta get back into us for facts. I gotta curl up on the couch and get with a cuddly blanket. But anyway, I think that Gizelle was right to kick them out at 8:03. I think them showing up, if they really wanted to show up, should have been there like 7:45, 7:30, 7, not 8 o'clock. I think that still was very tardy and distasteful since you got the invite prior to this. So I don't like that. I also, think that I just think being punctual because it wasn't just for Giselle's event. This was really for that charity.
Yep.
That was just very disrespectful for all those people that are affected by that. I think Ashley just doesn't know how to act. She has no decorum. She has no she has no sense of like reading the room, and she doesn't know how to act in people's houses. So it's no wonder that that her husband kicked her out of his. So that's my shady comment. Short and shady. Bye.
Thanks, Judge Justice. Judge Justice is an OG. Yo. Damn. Michael done kicked her out the house. Oh my God, that was good. That was a good way to end today's live recap of the Real Housewives of Potomac, guys. I appreciate all of you taking time out of your day to be here for Potomac, our recap at the very least, because some of you say that you're not watching. But we shall see. I haven't seen the ratings for last night's episode, but we shall see. I thought this episode was pretty good. I'm enjoying Jassy. I'm enjoying Stacy. Look, the mamas were bringing it in this episode. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. You guys are a mess. Thank you to everyone that sent in a super chat. Shout out to our King's Guard. Shout out to our channel members. Become a member today at TheKempire.com/join. And don't forget the Kempire After Dark live experience is coming to LA November 20th. Then we will be in London December 8th. Go get your tickets today. And stay tuned, DMV. Stay tuned. Okay. Thank you all for being here. Have a great rest of your afternoon. I will see you all in the next video. I got a Diddy update. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. All right? Bye, y'all. Let's get to 800 likes.
You both got my best life, yeah. You both got my best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. You both got my best life, yeah. Jumping, flexing, I know. I just want you to know. Something you and me, oh. You both got my best life, yeah. You both got my best life, yeah. You both got my best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. You both got my best life, yeah. Jumping, flexing, I know. I just want you to know. Something you and me, oh. You both got my best life, yeah. You both got my best life, yeah. You both got my best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. You both got my best life, yeah. You both got my best life, yeah. You both got my best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. You both got my best life, yeah.
Here we go now. Here we go.